Optimization functions. We studied about gradient descent, stochastic gradient descent, and mini batch gradient descent. The next one is momentum. If you remember, what we saw is that this is our low, minimum point. And the goal is to reach to this point. While reaching this point, uh, this gradient descent and its variants essentially follows a zigzag pattern like this, like this, like this, and then reaches this place. How nice it would be if the optimization method will come to this point in a relatively straight line, like not these many, this, uh, zigzag options. To this point it is reaching, and then going to this point, and then going to this point. Like this, it is unnecessary moving here and there. When we know that the path is straight, when we know that there is a slope like this, what is the need of moving around like this and then reaching the final minimum position? Uh, Therefore, this momentum optimization method was developed in order to reduce this high variance and softens the convergence. Softens the convergence means instead of having this pattern, you are going for a little uh, soft line like this. And therefore, it accelerates the convergence towards the relevant direction and reduces the fluctuation to the irrelevant direction. When you are moving in this manner, this is an irrelevant direction. Again, you are going this way, it is also irrelevant. Why it is irrelevant? Because when you can go to the same place by following a straight line, why you should move around here and there in some other directions? This momentum avoids this type of problem. However, momentum introduces a new hyperparameter. If you recall, hyperparameters are those parameters whose values must be specified by the user. For instance, learning rate, number of layers, number of nodes in each layer, number of filters, number of epochs, and then pack size. Likewise, you have got another hyperparameter here that was introduced by momentum, symbolized by this gamma. Look at this equation. In this, this momentum is calculated. This gamma is hyperparameter similar to this. There is a learning rate, if you remember. Here also you have learning rate. Besides having learning rate, you have a gamma as momentum parameter. And this V of t minus 1, this V of t minus 1 is the velocity with respect velocity of previous iterations. Of previous ones you accumulate and then find this is the learning rate. This we know the derivatives. Here through this we find the gradients, derivative of loss with respect to uh, weights. So here this J is denotes the loss function with respect to this theta. Theta denotes the weight, and here you have a learning rate alpha. Through this you find out this velocity, which is nothing but here in this case denoting the momentum, and weights are then updated. Look at this weight theta. Theta new, this is theta new, is equals to this theta old minus V of t. From where you have obtained V of t? Through this one. And what are you doing in this equation? You are accumulating all the values of previous iterations and then uh, finding out the slope. Through this you can find out the slope, and then you update the weights here through this value. This is momentum optimization function. What are the advantages of this? It reduces the oscillations and high variance of the parameters. As I told you, there is a lot of oscillations. It reduces that, and variance. It gives gradient descent has got sometimes yields to high variance, if you remember. So that it reduces, and it converges faster than gradient descent because it is moving in the straight line relatively, and this gradient descent is moving in this oscillation manner. So here this takes less time compared to this. This one will take more time because it is moving here and there. So, for instance, if you have to go to Abbott's to OU, there might be a straight line, straight route. If you are not going to straight route and you are moving into one lane and again going to another lane and again coming to this lane, and from here you are going to this next direction, from here you are moving here, like this, if you unnecessary roam around, then it takes more time for convergence. The disadvantage is this gamma that is introduced by this momentum function is a new hyperparameter. So in the list of hyperparameters, one more have been added, which have to be selected manually, and further this gamma value determines the momentum, and therefore this has to be initialized accurately. If this is not initialized accurately, the results will not be efficient. This is again has to be experimented. You start with 0.01, for instance, assume. You see that the results are not good. You may change it to 0.02 or 0.09 or 0.007. Like that, you have to experiment. You have to, initialize a value. Look at the results, whether they are accurate or not, whether they are giving good performance or not. If not, go back and change it. So manually, this process increases the time of the model development. The next optimization method is NAG. This is known as NAG, which stands for Nesterov Accelerated Gradient. What is the problem in momentum? Momentum is actually a good method. But then if momentum is too high, you are going here like this. If you are going at a very higher rate, you may miss the local minima and may continue to rise up. If you remember like this, I told you that you have like these minimum points. These are the minimum points, and which is among the global minimum? This one is the global minimum. These two are local minimum. And sometimes what happens is the momentum misses the minima and again rise up. It is coming here, and suppose if it lands up to this point, it goes higher up, and it is missing this point. Or as a matter of fact, even here also, if here it is moving, jumping. So to resolve this issue, NAG was developed. It is a look ahead method. Look ahead method in the sense that it also considers the future point, not only the present point, the future point. What does it do is, it see that if I am landing here, is this point minimum or not? Or is this minimum point getting missed? So look ahead method, where it is landing, which point, that also it checks. And to do that, it has to modify the weights approximately, appropriately in a manner that it can tell the future location. If we can tell the future location, after modifying the weight, to which point you are reaching, where are you ending up? Okay, the model presently is here. After weight updation, model ends up being here. All right. Then here, is this point the minimum point, or further it has to go down? That has to be estimated. And that the future location is approximated through this, by modifying the weight. So the cost is calculated based on this future parameter rather than the current one. And therefore, if you observe here you have momentum, and here you have learning rate, and here you see this term. This term is not similar to this. Here you see what is there in this. It is just you are finding the derivatives of loss with respect to weights. This is J loss, theta weights. Here what are you doing? Here you are weight, this loss with respect to the future point in the weight. Again, you are trying to find this velocity, means after reaching this future point. This denotes this point which it is landing up. So that after reaching to that point, what will be the loss? And then it updates the weights. Here you can see that there is a NAG versus momentum at local minima. Here this is a local minimum point. Sometimes momentum will shoot up, okay, shoot up and miss this point, and this is NAG is going in this direction. The advantage is it will never miss a local minima, and it slows if minima are occurring. If minima is occurring, then it slows down. It will not take large steps. The disadvantage still is the hyperparameter, that the gamma that has to be selected manually and accurately. The next optimization method is ADAGRAD. One of the disadvantages of all the optimizers, they are known as optimizers. Momentum is an optimizer. NAG is an optimizer. Gradient descent is an optimizer. In all of the above explained optimizers, learning rate is constant. Eta or alpha or whatever symbol you use for learning rate, A, this learning rate you initialize. This is also a hyperparameter. When this is a hyperparameter, user has to initialize. Every hyperparameter must be initialized by a user. On the contrary, parameters are learned by the model. What are the parameters? Weights and bias. Weights, biases. These two need not be initialized by user. Even if they are initialized, it is done only once. Later, they are learned. Initially, you can give some values. Later, through this learning propagation, back propagation and learning process, this gets updated. But then for learning rate, if learning rate of 0.1 is not suitable for your model, it will not be learned typically. You have to initialize a new value. That's the problem in all the other optimizers that have been discussed so far. And learning rate is constant. If you are moving with a learning rate of say this much length, okay, learning rate basically gives the step size. This is a step size. So this is the step size. It is constant. It will not change. If suppose our step size is large, we may as well miss this. We may shoot and miss the point, minimum point. All right. So if suppose the learning rate is too tiny, like this, too tiny learning rate steps. Whatever it may be, it is constant in all the methods studied earlier. So this ADAGRAD optimizer changes the learning rate. It changes the learning rate eta for each parameter at every step t. And it is a second order optimization. There are first order optimizers, second order optimizers. First order and second order. This first order essentially obtains the first order derivatives, and second order will go for quadratic values, and this gives us second order derivatives. And this ADAGRAD function is a second order optimization algorithm, and it works on the derivative of an error function. You see here a derivative of loss function for given parameters at a given time t. Here, what is extra? What that was not there in the other methods. This t. This t is every consider that this step is t. And here, for every t, this eta means this learning rate is normalized over these gradients of a step t, and there is another parameter epsilon e to avoid this division by 0. It's very tiny and small value. In case if this evaluates to 0, the whole expression should not turn out to be 0 to avoid division by 0 problem. So then here what we do is we take the derivative of loss with respect to weight at a particular step. It's not weight, global weight. All right. And then based on that, parameters are updated for input I for each input. Here it is given, right? For every input for at time t. This is done. Okay, that is eta is a learning rate and theta I weights at a given time based on previous gradients calculated for the given parameter theta I. And here you see sum of squares of gradients with respect to up to time. Epsilon is a smoothing term to avoid division by 0. And it is given in some research paper that square root leads to better results, and not having this square root gives very poor results. Algorithm performs worse. What are the advantages? Learning rate changes for each training parameter. No need to manually tune the learning rate and able to train on sparse data. What are the disadvantages? Computationally expensive. You see that the second order derivative has to be calculated. Calculating a normal value first order derivative is less expensive compared to second order derivative because it takes a square and it performs more computations. And learning rate is always decreasing, results in slow training. When learning, sometimes like this learning rate gets go on decreasing as the steps are, as we are approaching towards the minimum point, learning rate decrease and decrease. That may lead to slow training. Adder delta is the another optimizer. It is an extension of AdaGrad, and which tends to remove decaying learning rate problem. Instead of accumulating all previously squared gradients, gradients are squared. When we say that gradients are squared, then it implies that it is a second order derivative. Adder delta limits the window of accumulated past gradients to some fixed size. When AdaGrad is executed, it accumulates. If you are at this position and if this is the starting point, this is the current point, it accumulates all the previous gradients, which is not quite effective. Therefore, adder delta limits how many gradients to accumulate. If this is the starting point and this is the current point, if the window size is 3, only past 3 iteration gradients will be accumulated. And here, exponentially moving average is used rather than sum of all the gradients. See, you can look at here. You are taking the gradient square with respect to time t, and this is momentum hyperparameter, and t minus 1 means previous steps, and this one 1 minus gamma into t square g square t. Uh, this this will give us the mm, uh, fixed size w, means some number of previous gradients, and this is similar to momentum term, and which is around zero point 0.9. Typically it is initialized to 0.9, and this is the equation for ada delta. Through this it updates the parameters. The advantage is that learning rate does not decay and training does not stop. Decaying of learning rate means it gets smaller and smaller, it gets too small. Okay, that problem is avoided in this. And disadvantage is it is computationally expensive. There is another method known as RMS prop optimizer. It is similar to gradient descent with momentum. And this RMS prop restricts the oscillations in the vertical direction. Sometimes uh, when you have these contours, uh, if this is the minimum point, if our algorithm is here, what it does is it just moves around to some uh, point which is not directly leading to the minimum point, like this, and then maybe here, then again maybe here, um, like this, somewhere here moving, it is moving. Whereas RMS prop restricts the oscillations in the vertical direction. Vertical direction means instead of moving at this direction, it should move at this direction, because here there is a slope which is leading to the minimum point. The difference between RMS prop and gradient descent is how gradients are calculated. Here in RMS prop, uh, gradients are calculated along with momentum. Here the value of momentum is denoted by beta. Here it is denoted, as I told you, there is no standard symbols and notations for all these concepts in deep learning. It varies, but the context and the explanation will give you what is what. Here the value of momentum is denoted by beta, and it is usually set to 0.9, where in earlier algorithms we noticed that it was using gamma for momentum value, and it uh, it had a value of 0.9 only. That this is similar point. And then okay. So here uh, beta into this the derivative with respect to w, 1 minus beta into derivative with respect to w. This is for weights and this is for biases. Okay, first, like how you found v of t, and then theta is equals to theta minus v of t. In momentum you did it like this, right? Here this you are doing for weights, this is you are doing for bias, and here you are updating the weights and here you are updating the bias, and this is your learning rate for weights and bias. Oh, this has got RMS. Actually, this one is gradient descent with momentum. This one is RMS prop optimizer. I'll see what happened to this. I'll put the equations here. Another important optimizer is ADAM, and this ADAM only is being used almost in every deep learning model these days. It stands for Adaptive Moment Estimation. It works with moment terms of both first and second order. All right. What is the intuition behind ADAM? The intuition is that we can jump over we should not roll so fast because we can jump over the minimum. We want to decrease the velocity a little bit for a careful search. Here, in addition to storing exponentially decaying average of fast squared gradients like ada delta, ADAM also keeps an exponentially decaying average of fast gradients MT, M of t. M of t and V of t are the values of first moment, which is the mean, and the second moment, which is the uncertain centered variance of the gradients. Here you are finding the mean and the variance. This is first and second order of momentum. Okay, and then we are taking the mean and variance so that this you're finding this error to be equal to E of M of t is equal to E of G of t, where G of t is nothing but the gradient, and E of f of x is an expected value of f of x. In order to make the output value equal or identical to the actual value, this mean and variance is being calculated, and then update parameter updation occurs in this manner. Here we use a learning rate eta, and here we have M of t and V of t square root, and here epsilon e for smoothing. This is the equation for parameter updates or weight updates. And advantages: the method is too fast and converges rapidly, and it rectifies vanishing learning rate and high variance. The disadvantage is it is computationally costly. Here, if you see this uh, figure, it has got these are known as these contours, and here this red line denotes SGD. Here you can see SGD, and this blue ADAGRAD, this one. Green are RMS prop, purple are ADA delta. Where are purple? They are not there. And this yellow ADAM. That is nothing but the comparison. And here, next point is saddle point. What do you mean by saddle point problem in neural network? What is a saddle point? Here, if you observe this, in low dimensional space, the major problem is local minimum. Low dimensional space in the sense that you have only one or two or three features. when you have high dimensional space, then the problem of local minima will not occur generally. And then there is another problem in deep learning. Uh, the problem of local minima is not a major problem, whereas in machine learning, in the techniques like linear regression, logistic regression, artificial neural networks, the problem of local minima is quite prevalent and gives many problems. Here in deep learning, there might be a problem known as a saddle point. What is a saddle point? In a local or global minima, when all the directions are going up, and in a local or global maxima, all the directions are going down. That is a saddle point. This is these are the 2 points. This is known as maximum point. This is known as minimum point. When suppose uh, a mountaineer, a mountaineer is set out for some adventure, he is looking for uh, a highest point on the mountain so that he can reach there. That is the maximum point. So you have to climb up, 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 up until you reach the maximum point. In some problems, there might be a need to reach the maximum and not the minimum. When you look at the loss, what your goal should be to reach the maximum or minimum? It should be obviously minimum. You have to minimize the loss. Consider that accuracy. What should be the goal? The goal should be to reach the maximum accuracy. In that case, you might go in this manner. When you are looking at deep neural networks, essentially the goal is to minimize the loss. So you are looking for the minimum point. Minimum point means the least loss that you can uh, expect from the model. Beyond that, you cannot further decrease it. All right. So you have to go down. Now, suppose a person, uh, a normal person, not a mountaineer, has reached the this mountain, hill. You know, for some reason, he is on this hill. What he will look for? He will look to go down. Okay, so the deep neural networks are here, and uh, they generate some loss, and they are looking to minimize the loss. A saddle point is the point in which when you are looking to maximize, you have to go upright, but you are going down. That is saddle point. When you are looking to minimize, you have to go down. But then if the model goes up instead of down, further go up, then that is a saddle point. All right. Saddle points are easily escapable. Why they are easily escapable? Because once the model start going up, the model will get to know because of this backpropagation algorithm and gradient descent, these optimizers, we will know where is the slope. Okay, here when this is the slope, this going down will give you the slope. There is no point in going up, right? So then it is easy to deal with this saddle points. So all that is the description. Okay, data. Next topic is batch normalization, which I will discuss tomorrow. Any doubts, students?